Hello. Good day and welcome to the video blog. The video blog, it's the video blog. Yeah. We're still trying to get Paul Schaefer here, but no luck so far. Tonight, it is, tonight, because it's Friday night, 12 o'clock, 12:06 a.m., so it's really just beginning to be Friday. But nevertheless, tonight, Friday p.m., I will be in Marionette Park, Illinois, so basically I'll be in Chicago, but I'll be like next door. I'll be in the neighbor of Chicago, wrestling for AAW Wrestling. Go to aawwrestling.com to find out more info. Screech will be there. Yes, Screech will be there. I don't think he's making a sex tape, nor do I think he's in a boxing match, but I think he will. But he will be there. But I don't think any of the rest of the cast of Saved by the Bell will be there. Not Tiffani Amber Thiessen, because I think she's on a diet. At least I hope she's on a diet. Has anybody watched White Collar? White Collar is awesome. Who watches White Collar? Such a really good show. Man, she has gained some weight. She's a chubby one. She ought to do like the Jenny Craig thing. Although I'm not even sure that Jenny Craig works, because look at Kirstie Alley. Although Kirstie Alley's problems could be because she's a lesbian. I mean, I'm not certain she's a lesbian. I think she's a lesbian. I'm not positive she's a lesbian, but she is a member of Scientology, right? Right? Now, why do you join Scientology if you're a celebrity? Because you're gay. And not that there's anything wrong with being gay, because there isn't. But if you're a celebrity and you don't want people to know you're gay, but Scientology has all the blackmail evidence, then you have to join them, because otherwise they'll blackmail you. Just like they do to Tom Cruise, like they do to John Travolta, and, oh, sorry, I just wanted to give you the middle finger. I think Kirstie Alley may be a lesbian too. Or she just could be a member of Scientology for no goddamn good reason, because, I mean, let's face it, they're a bunch of wackadoodles. The interesting thing about Scientology is some of the stuff actually makes sense in the beginning until all of a sudden you have to pay all kinds of money. And then you find out as you get higher into the Scientology that there is some alien named Zabu Baba Zabadubu or something ridiculous like 40,000 years ago. And he's the whole thing behind the whole religion. And all I want to know is, how did anybody actually find out his name? Like, who was around 40,000 years ago? Now, I believe in ancient alien theory. Anybody watch that show, Ancient Aliens? Show's awesome. So awesome. So I totally believe aliens were here first, because there's no way we came just like, like out of the primordial mud with lightning bolts and, and then all of a sudden it turned like a virus into a protein, into a one-celled, thing, which turned into a this, into a that, which turned into a beaver, and then turned into an, Komodo dragon and an iguana, and then human beings. I definitely think aliens kickstarted the whole shindig. Because, frankly, as much as I believe in Darwinism, I don't think there's been enough time for Darwinism to work. The whole theory with all the genetic mutations. Only in dogs can you mutate that fast through breeds. Which I found out when I was watching a TV show the other night on a, what show was that? I don't know, some show about dogs, apparently. And they showed how dogs can go through mutations. That's why, because like 200 years ago, there was like one breed of dog. Like, seriously, like one breed of dog like 200 years ago. Now there's like 2,000 breeds of dogs, all in like, 3 or 4 or 5, 6 lifetimes. It's amazing. But only dogs. You can't do it with any other breed. It's really weird. Or any other animal, odd. Now, to bring this all full circle, I'm going to tell you a story. I was on a plane one day, and I'm sitting next to this guy, and I go, "Hey, Jericho." I go, "Look, this guy next to me looks like Mr. Belding." And he goes, "Yeah, he does." I go, No, it is Mr. Belding. Wait, I told that story wrong. Damn. I go, "Hey, Jericho, look, it's Mr. Belding." And he goes, "Yeah, he looks like him." I go, "No, it doesn't look like him. It is Mr. Belding." And because Mr. Belding was on a plane next to me one time. And then he came to visit me at a show. I was in South Carolina or somewhere, and I'm eating at catering next to Hurricane, I think. And in walks Mr. Belding out of nowhere, who schmoozed his way in and came and sat down next to me. I like Mr. Belding. And the reason I bring that up is because Screech is going to be on the show tomorrow night, or tonight, because it is tonight. Tonight. I don't know what song I was singing. It doesn't really matter. I don't really care. I'm tired. It's 12:11, which is normally early for me. Normally I don't go to bed till about 3 a.m. 3 a.m. eternal. But I'm kind of tired because last night I went to bed about 2 o'clock and I woke up about 5 o'clock and I never fell back to sleep because I was up. And so, I mean, normally I can fall right back to sleep, but I couldn't because I had to take my dog to the dog doctor this morning because it's very sad news. He's going to have to get arthroscopic surgery in his elbows, it looks like, which is really sad because he's such a good doggy. And really pisses me off that he has to go through that because he doesn't deserve it. He's a good doggy. And especially after my last dog passed away. My last dog, I only had him for a year. He was a year and a half old, 2 years old, and he died of a brain tumor. That's bullshit. You know, broke my heart. That was my Rottweiler, Lucian. But Gabriel, he's going to be fine, but we just got to get him some arthroscopic surgery, which is, man, well, at least they can do that for dogs. But if you'd like to contribute, we'll set up a fund, I think, for him. Nah, I'm just kidding. Actually, I guess I should set up a fund in his name, in my doggy's name. What was I saying? I don't even remember. I get sad when I worry about my dog. I was going to answer some questions. I had a question from some guy from Oklahoma who wanted to know, do I have any stories from Oklahoma? Well, no, I don't. Actually, I probably do. I just don't remember them. I don't really think I spent a whole lot of time in Oklahoma. The only thing I really like that rings a bell when I think of Oklahoma is I think of Bill Watts' UWF promotion, which was awesome. That was like the best wrestling show for such a long time. Like that was always my #1 favorite show. Until the modern era, like with ECW and stuff, you know, and Raw and Nitro. But, man, it was great, too, because the booking was this guy, Ken Mantell, who was just brilliant. And you never hear of him anymore, but the guy was brilliant. He was also instrumental in a lot of the Von Erich booking era when they were over huge. And I'd like to meet him sometime. I've never met him before. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. What was so cool about it was not only just the characters, but the storylines were so intriguing, and there were so many storylines and so many interesting characters. And I'm telling you, one of my favorite endings, actually my single all-time favorite ending to a show was they did a thing on a show. This would be like the story I tell now. Instead of just babbling, now I'm going to tell a story. I was watching a show, and we used to watch it every Thursday night at college. It was what was the Thursday night lineup? I think it was like Cosby Show at 8, and then at 8:30 was Different World with Jasmine Guy. She was hot. And then at 9 o'clock was Cheers, and at 9:30 was Night Court. And then at 10 o'clock on a completely different channel was the UWF. I don't know why it came on 10 o'clock Thursdays, but that's where I did it because I lived in Delaware. Went to the University of Delaware. The Fighting Blue Hens. The least fearful name in the history of colleges anywhere ever. Ever. Although I wouldn't want to be a Gamecock either. And nor would I want to be a member of the Crimson Tide, because that just sounds like somebody under rag. So, go, hey, what school do you go to? The Crimson Tide. I go, oh, really? You're in your period? Okay. So anyway, so the show came on at 10 o'clock. I'm easily distracted. Anyway, so the show comes on at 10 o'clock, and we used to watch it religiously, me and my fraternity brothers. And I was in like the musclehead, ex-jock, meathead fraternity that drank like fishes. And probably swam like them too. Anyway, because of the buoyancy factor. I don't know what that means. So anyway, so we used to watch it religiously, and then of course we'd go out right afterwards. But so I remember this one episode, and it was so awesome. The Freebirds, Terry Gordy was like the UWF champion, but they stripped him of the belt, and because I think he was going to Japan or something, but you didn't know that. And they put on the one-man gang, so the Freebirds are hot, and they're protesting it the whole show. And then the one-man gang was a member of Devastation Incorporated, led by Skandar Akbar. And I was actually a member of Devastation Incorporated once for like one match, one day, like on an indie show. So I'm proud to be a former member of Devastation Incorporated. That's pretty cool. So anyway, And the one cool thing I liked about the show is Jim Ross would always go, we're going to stay with this. If we got time, we'll show the end of the match. And of course, they would always, he would always hype this hot match. And then somehow he'd get to the match and he'd be like, we're going to stay with it as long as we can. And then the show would cut out sometimes. Oh, man, it was so like, ooh, and it was exciting because you didn't know how much you're going to get to see. And so anyway, so the Birds are complaining about losing the belt the whole show. One Man Gang, he's bragging about having the title. And they're going to have the title match in a cage. It's going to be Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who was like the most over babyface, against the One Man Gang for the UWF title on TV if we have time. And Jim Ross was so awesome back then. I mean, he's still awesome. But back then, I still like early Jim Ross better because he was the youthful exuberance that he had. And not that I dislike him now because I still think he's the best commentator. But, just if I had my preference, I'd pick young over old. Probably most people would pick young Raven over old Raven. Or, no, maybe not. Most people probably pick older Raven over younger Raven. Either way, I'm hot. I'm a catch. Anyhow, so Jim Ross kept saying, if we have time, we're going to show the entire match. We're going to show the match between Hacksaw and Jim Duggan. So you don't even know if you're going to get any of the match, and they also had a bunch of other hot matches on the show. So finally, Jim Ross said, we're almost there. We only got a few minutes left, but here we go. One Man Gang's gone to the ring. So the gang goes to the ring with Devastation Incorporated, which was like Bad Leroy Brown, Wild Bill Irwin, who did not get the respect he deserves. He's a hell of a worker. They made him the Goon, which was ridiculous because he was a hell of a worker. Really hell of a worker. And somebody else, I forget who. Anyway, so they head to the ring, and the One Man Gang gets inside the cage. He's waiting in the cage, and his finish was the 747, which was basically, he was 500 pounds, and basically you'd be flat on the ring, and he would just do a splash, boop, and splash you. And but if you went to the second rope and did the 747, off to the hospital because you were just stretchered out of there because you can't recover from that. That's 500 pounds, and back then it was believable. And he was always awesome, so ooh. Anyway, so the show's finally, so he's in the ring, and here comes Duggan out to go to the ring, and the Freebirds come out to protest it. Man, this is a bunch of crap. This is a bunch of crap. We should have the belt still. They get in a big brawl. They start beating up Duggan. Devastation Incorporated. It's like, hey, Freebirds, screw you. And the heels start fighting the heels. Duggan gets the sauce. And then somehow Duggan gets tossed into the cage. And Jim Ross says, my God, he's a Crimson Mask. And Devastation Incorporated and the Freebirds, they all fight to the back. And Jim Ross is going, we're going to stay with this if we got time. Now, I got to interrupt for a second because I found out from my webmaster that if I go over 15 minutes, it's really a pain to set it because you can only air 15 minutes on YouTube. So then it's like I got to have a 15-minute and then like an extra 1-minute video if it's like goes 16 minutes or 17. And so it's a pain. So it's easier if I stay under 15 minutes or just at 15. And right now we're like at 13 and change. So I only have 2 minutes left to finish the story. So, because I want to finish the story, but if I don't have time, well, that's what happens. So anyway, so Jim Ross is going, we're going to stay with this match as long as we can. My God, the One Man Gang, Jim Duggan, he's been lacerated. Jim Ross was awesome. So Duggan's trying to fight back, and the gang's just pounding on, boosh, beating him down. And, it's exciting. It's exciting. What do I got left? I got about a minute left here now. Ooh, not a lot of time to tell the rest of the story. Ooh. Anyway, so, I'm going to stick with this right up to 14:59, and then I'm going to have to cut out, though, because I can't go over 15. So, finally, and as I said, the 747 was the One Man Gang's finish. So, finally, Jim Ross is going, my God, look at that. Jim Duggan's down. And then the One Man Gang starts climbing up to the second rope. He goes, he's going for the 747 off the second rope. And the One Man Gang's taking like forever to climb up because his weight, and then the second rope is real flimsy instead of tight like it is now. So he steps on the one rope and he goes, roo, steps on the other, roo, gets up to the second rope. And as he climbs up, and he's going for the 747, and you're like, oh my God, if he hits the 747, Jim Duggan's going to be dead and he's going to be out of the promotion. That's going to be sad because we love Jim Duggan. And oh my God, what's going to happen? And Jim Duggan, and look, I'm going to stay with this as long as I can. I got about 20 seconds, 15 seconds left to tell the rest of the story. The One Man Gang leaps off into midair, and before we know whether he hits it or not, whoop, the show goes to black.